2017黄金世俱杯风暴英雄项目淘汰赛第3天的比赛全部结束。第一场比赛由 CE 对阵 Team Dignitas， 首局中 Dignitas 的克罗米发挥出色，团战连续秒到对方关键人物维拉和奥利尔 ，CE 正面溃败 ，Dignitas 赢下比赛。第二局选3前排阵容的 CE 无法阻挡 Dignitas 裂空的攻势，在连续被对方拿到机制后，经验差距巨大，最后被对方一波推掉基地，输掉比赛。第3局 Dignitas 前期稳扎稳打，在拿到第2个 BOSS 之后，将 CE 团灭，一波推掉 CE 基地，获得比赛的胜利。Dignitas 以3-0的比分，毫无悬念的获得晋级 ，CE 惨遭淘汰。备受关注的第2场比赛，寄托了中国战队最后希望的 SPT 迎战欧洲霸主 FNC。第一局 SPT 前期虽显弱势，但在中期团队完美配合，拿到数次机制。在等级达到20级时，源氏无敌拔刀将 FNC 逼退，并拿到关键机制，从而一波将对方基地推掉，拿下开门红。第2局 FNC 从前期开始就攻势凶猛，成功将比分追平。第3局前中期两方势均力敌，在20分钟时 FNC 拿到了 BOSS， 从下路一波直接进攻基地获胜。第4局第10分钟 ，FNC 拿下 BOSS， 源氏开出大招打散 SPT 阵型 ，FNC 成功一波推掉基地，以总比分3-1获得整场比赛的胜利。全部比赛结束后 ，Dignitas 与 FNC 打入4强，中国本土战队被悉数淘汰，无缘4强。希望他们再接再厉，在今后的比赛中取得更好的成绩。
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, fans from all over the world. Live from the Water Cube Beijing, this is the 2017 Gold Club World Championship brought to you by Blizzard, NetEase, and Neo TV. I'm your host, a zealous Blizzard fan, Ali. 各位现场和屏幕前亲爱的暴雪游戏粉丝们，大家中午好！欢迎大家来到由网易暴雪联合举办 Neo TV 为大家全程直播的2017黄金世俱杯的现场。我是资深的暴雪粉丝和主持人艾丽。Just 20 minutes ago, we had an amazing Hearthstone game right here, and now we're going to have a taste of our Heroes of the Storm. We're going to have our lower round 3 of Heroes of the Storm very soon. 在20分钟前呢，我们在这里举行了我们炉石传说败者组淘汰赛第3轮的比赛，而接下来我们要进行的是我们风暴英雄败者组淘汰赛第3轮的比赛。After 3 days of intense competition, we only have 4 teams still standing here in the Water Cube. They are Team Dignitas, Fnatic, KSV, and Ballistic. 经过3天的刺激的淘汰赛，我们还剩下4支队伍站在我们水立方的舞台，他们分别是 Team Dignitas、Fnatic、KSV 以及 Ballistic。Now the stage is ready. Nexus are waiting for their heroes to fight each other and fight for the ultimate honor they will gain tomorrow. 时空枢纽的战场已经准备好，风暴英雄们也蓄势待发。接下来谁会最终进入明天的总决赛呢？让我们拭目以待。Coming up first, a team full of potential and full of passion to win, Team Dignitas. Let's welcome Team Dignitas. And now they are fighting against Fnatic. Let's give it up to Fnatic! Now Fanatics have amazing records in all kind of different tournaments. Now let's see how they are going to perform today. 好，作为同样来自欧洲的2支队伍，一旦失利，便失去了在舞台上继续战斗的资格。到底哪支队伍能够抵抗住风暴的洗礼？就让我们一起期待吧。有请双方选手进入对战席。Best luck, everyone. Let's have a good game.
A lot of questions were left unanswered by the end of the group stage of the Gold Club World Championship, but perhaps none bigger than which of the European teams, at least in the immediate future, ended up on top after the role and roster changes that both went through. I'm Gillyweed here with Grubby, and Grubby, today we find that answer, finally.
Yeah, all the teams have been trying to play it cool and saying that they'll use this as a training grounds for the HGC Europe, Dignitas and Fnatic. New rosters, we've talked about it before on this broadcast, but it's true since about a month or so. But at this point, human greed knows no bounds. You've made it to the top 4, and now in an intense derby of rivalry, Europe versus Europe, Dignitas versus Fnatic, I think these guys care a lot about winning this match.
Yeah, and one unfortunately has to eliminate the other to go on and see if either can take out one or both of the Korean teams that are left in the upper bracket still. Now, the common theme has been looking at results that Team Dignitas does look a little bit stronger than Fnatic. Yesterday, even in their matches, Team Dignitas had a clean 3-0 over CE. Very little mistakes made by Team Dignitas. Whereas Fnatic, they had a rougher set. They lost one game to the smooth rotations on Dragonshire of SPT. A lot of members got caught out at times for Fnatic. So when looking at this, the general theme has been that Dignitas is stronger. But even when you look at the match between each other in the group stage, it was a 1-1 draw, so I think it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, and what you said is true about these matches and their scores, but I also always think in the progress of a tournament, the hottest fires forge the strongest swords. And when you look at Dignitas going up against CE only took a 3-2 victory over BTG, who had, before that, not even won a single map yet. So Dignitas maybe didn't have as much of a challenge in CE, not just because of their own prowess, but also because they were facing a less formidable foe. CE started like this and tapered off towards the end of the tournament, whereas SPT had been on an ever-increasing line. And so for Fnatic to lose one map, test the waters mayhaps, and then win the next 3 matches, I think they have overcome a very formidable challenge and maybe more ready because of it.
Yeah, it's just so impossible to determine based on how each team has measured up to the other teams, just because it is an ever-changing format, and every single day teams make adjustments, and things like Dignitas beating Ballistics in the group stage, they ended up losing to Ballistics later on in the knockout stage. And even though Fnatic did better there, I think they went for a draw there with Ballistics, or no, they lost to Ballistics. Yeah, so it's just so hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, Dignitas right now they are 4-3 in score against Ballistics, whereas Fnatic is 0-2. So if you against Ballistics, right? So if you look at that, then you say, okay, you know, Dignitas they're actually doing pretty darn well against the Korean teams, just like they did half a year ago at the mid-season brawl.
And the second match we'll have today for Heroes of the Storm is also so interesting because it is the same situation, but with our 2 Korean teams in the group stage drawing in the 1-1. And then now we look at this, and with the meta shift, the change of the support patch, KSV is the only team in the knockout stage that's still 100% so far playing double support. But a similar thing happened to them at the Eastern Clash, where they were very inflexible with their meta, ended up going down to the lower bracket and forced to change up their drafting, and it wasn't in time, and Ballistics won that one. But Ballistics, they're really not into the double support meta anymore, so I'm very excited for that one too.
Yeah, a number of teams here, they just shook off the chains of this unwanted double support meta for some of these teams. CE, Ballistics, and a few other teams really don't prefer it. They did it because it was necessary, but were so ready to shake off those chains when it seemed to be possible. Now, all the supports got nerfed by about 5% recently, except for Lily. We'll see if we see her. But it means that pound for pound, they're a little bit weaker than the other classes. So you can get away with just having one and using more, pound for pound, warrior and assassin strength. And partially, this also explains the rise of heroes like Zarya and Tyrael that we've seen more and more in draft, because they also offer protection, just like support, but didn't get nerfed.
Yeah, Tyrael is an interesting one for this team, in particular Team Dignitas, who played it a lot versus Ballistics, and then it was nowhere to be found versus CE. But Team Dignitas, branded as the Korean Assassins with their old roster, they have had many victories over Korean teams before Ballistics finally got revenge a few days ago.
Yeah, and here we have Dignitas versus Fnatic. There's going to be a lot of interesting interplays between them, what with their map choices as well as their ban patterns. They share a lot of similarities, which is interesting considering reportedly they haven't scrimmed against each other at all during this 16-day stay in China so far. Normally, it would be usual for a region's top teams to play against each other, to stand strong as one, to be able to defeat all the other teams at least in a show of solidarity. But there is a big sense of rivalry going on between these two teams. And so despite not playing against each other, with a possible divergent evolution as a result of that, they still have a lot of similar preferences, like banning Tassadar, banning Abathur.
Yeah, and I want to get into the Tassadar more because I went down the rabbit hole last night when I was studying for this series. But another thing that's very curious to me, When I was studying yesterday these two teams for this matchup, it felt like I was watching an episode of Lost because every question I looked up ended up giving me more questions to answer. Like one thing, Fnatic banned Warhead Junction against Dignitas the last time they played. And if there's anything you can rely on, it's death, taxes, and Dignitas banning Warhead Junction, and yet Fnatic took that ban first the last time they played. Now it changes. They're banning out Dragonshire. This has been a problem for them in this tournament in past, and it's been a good map for Dignitas. It's also one of the 3 maps that Dignitas have shown some Tracer play, and Poik's Tracer is almost untouchable in this tournament.
Yeah, not nervous Poik is pretty darn scary on Tracer. And the first map is going to be Battlefield of Eternity. Now, I was trying to make a list where Tassadar is good on which maps, but it was easier to make a list of maps where Tassadar doesn't see as much play. And this is one of those 3 maps, together with, to a degree, depending on who they face, Cursed Hollow and Brax's Holdout. So neither of the teams banning Tassadar yet. And yet, Fnatic should be aware that Dignitas does run Tassadar Tracer very expertly. Not just frequently and avidly, but expertly as well. And that means that Fnatic now must answer the question, with this first ban, do we take it?
Fnatic has not shown any Task Tracer play in all of this tournament, but this is one of the maps where Dignitas have shown it. This is a map where they lost with it, though. They've only lost 2 games. One was the first game versus CE. Let's rule that out because they had some nerves going on. The second was on this map versus Ballistics, and Ballistics had the far greater Immortal taking composition that they were able to utilize effectively for that. Now, Fnatic has taken Tassadar and they've banned Dragonshire. I think this is a really good start. For Fnatic to be able to win over Dignitas, they have to be able to reduce a lot of these heroes that have been finding success for Dignitas. The Task Tracer, the Genji, which Dignitas are 7 out of 9 games won with that, and the ETC, which has a 77% win rate in the knockout stage, and Dig are undefeated with. They have a great start for this draft.
And Fnatic was also offering a bluff to Dignitas, because so far in the tournament, Dignitas, 100% of the time, when the opponent has taken Tassadar in first slot, they've taken a support and Tracer themselves, denying it. But I was asking myself in my preparations here, would I be afraid of Fnatic's Tassadar Tracer? I haven't seen it that much, they haven't played it that well when they have done it, and Dignitas, they break with their tradition, with the story about them, and they call Fnatic's bluff and say, go ahead, take it. And they're going to go with Lucio Arthur. So already a very interesting interplay here.
They don't take it. Fnatic instead take Muradin and Li Ming. Muradin for Lockdown to go along with the Immortal Lockdown. And then Li Ming, generally not as much of a pairing with Tassadar. So we'll see what ends up going with that Tassadar later on. But does give a setup for resets, the burst damage after a stun from Muradin. And of course, long and good poke for those Immortals.
And you may ask yourself, what if Li Ming goes for that famous auto attack build with Cannoneer and Charged Blast?
How could I forget?
But that's magic damage, and that should not be interacting with Tassadar's Leeching Plasma. So, besides giving her 15 armor from Kala's light level 4 talent on Taz, indeed it's not too much of a synergy, but we may still see something coming out. Now, in terms of secret weapons, Dignitas is pretty much the only one that runs Malthael twice this tournament. It looked really good when they did it. Didn't necessarily win all the games, but it looked good. And on this battleground, it's quite strong. So let's see if Dignitas might be saving that for the final slot.
They're still going to, looks like, lock in a Tracer ban, even though, as you said, Fnatic haven't been as nearly devoted to the Tracer play as Team Dignitas have been.
So this is where you ban Tracer. You do this if there's not one single thing you fear of the final 2 picks of Fnatic. If you have 3 equally bad options that Fnatic could take, you take the one that you really dislike playing against, which polarizes the entire playstyle of your team. And having to counter Tracer with 1 flex pick on your final pick slot is not a great feeling, so Dignitas removes the Tracer. Yeah,
Team Dignitas probably going to get Greymane now that they have, unless it's banned here from Fnatic. Fnatic likely knows that they're not going to ever get to that, so maybe questioning that, but there are some other things that they can ban here. But in having Arthas, Greymane is phenomenal for racing down an Immortal too.
Abathur is still an option as well. He has had a high ban rate. This is not his most popular map, but not his least popular map either. And there could be some synergy for Abathur here on either side. Probably not for Fnatic, since it would be Li Ming copy with the support, and maybe not the best, but for Dignitas it's still a possibility. Abathur Greymane would have been nice. This is why Fnatic removes the Greymane and says, go ahead and pair Abba with something else.
Vala as a potential deny from that Tassadar synergy, but also to make sure that Dignitas draft somebody who can still keep up with the Immortal race.
Yeah, I actually feel like banning the Greymane is a bit of a mistake, as Greymane and Vala were the two remaining best auto attackers after Tracer is gone. Fnatic loves Greymane themselves, but by banning it, they basically are giving Vala and denying themselves a proper secondary option.
Right.
Leeming solo assassin with a support and a second tank is possible, but it can have difficulties creating an initial opening, a kill, to allow her to have a reset. So I am expecting an auto attacker and a support for Fnatic here.
I think it was probably going to be Sonya from Fnatic. They have run so far twice, double support with Sonya, but that usually also featured Vala and Greymane, who could get more out of the Tassadar shielding. But it seems like, you know, when you have somebody who's flexing onto that new role like Bad Benny, really wanting to make sure you're bringing forth his best options here, and Sonya would be a lot of damage to help out with the Li Ming, making sure that you have more lockdown to follow up with Murden with the spear. But no, they go for a Karazi. Oh, they do get Sonya and Karazi too.
So dark, this skin, that you barely see it. I think it's good reasoning as well, and Fnatic clearly agrees with you. Bad Benny's, I feel like his best hero this tournament has been Arthas, together with Dahaka, and then Sonya. We saw him on that Sonya before, and he looked phenomenal. And even if this is not the ideal map draft that you would like to have, Fnatic has pretty much every corner of the draft covered. They don't have a very strong auto attacker, but Tassadar Karazim slightly fulfill that need. And you're also up against Arthas, so spell damage is a little bit more useful, because Arthas has physical protection. And Dignitas, they already have double support, ranged auto attacker, they have a tank. They probably would want a second warrior in order to withstand Fnatic. Now, Malthael actually would be a really sick option. You've got the Divine Shield pairing, you're against double warrior, double support. And Malthael is pretty good in those situations. It's also one of Wooby's specialties.
Stitches!
Wow. Totally blindsided by this.
I am as well.
This is completely unexpected. Reasons for it.
Well, I'm a little concerned for that Stitches, thinking about Force Wall and a 7-sided strike. Both Stitches and Arthas are heroes that can end up getting kited into those positions, but Lucio should help with that.
Yeah, and also if Stitches and Arthas are together, it's a 3.5-sided strike each.
Your mouth continues to be impeccable, Grubby.
It's like 3 punches and a slap. It doesn't it doesn't hurt nearly as much. Okay.
Well, there it is, the draft for Game 1 for Battlefield of Eternity. What do you think?
So, Malthael would have been the daring pick. Stitches is a lot more conservative. It's not all about Hook and Gorge or Hook and Putrid Bile. He has solid damage and self-sustain. The slam build, dealing damage to everyone to a degree. Being able to hook Tassadar after Dimensional Shift is gone is also a very powerful play. Still, I am surprised by this. And you know what I always used to counsel when you play competitive matches? Be 90% solid and have 2 tricks. And so if your draft generally looks good, and you can surprise your opponent in 1 or 2 ways, even little ways that barely necessarily have a bearing upon the match, just making them wonder what's going on. It's a great mental place to be at. So you can do this with one different pick in the draft, or maybe how you fan out in the beginning of a map, and you lane initially or attack a tower. So if this is Dignitas' plan, I think they probably succeeded.
Well, I think that Fnatic also got a lot of what they wanted to, and I want to reiterate my point that I felt like Fnatic was going to have to try to take away some of what has been working for Team Dignitas so well, because they just look so clean with it, and then make sure they have the counter to the rest of it. And they were able to do that because Dignitas didn't want to give Breeze ETC, so that ended up a ban there. Fnatic started with the Genji ban and then picked up TAS. And the TAS Tracer, Genji, and ETC are the 3 things that have been working out so well. There are others, right? Yesterday we saw Poix Chromie blow up people before Crystal Aegis or Sound Barrier could come in. It just did not work out for CE, but those are 3 things that have been just constant issues for every single team that goes up against Team Dignitas.
Yeah. I mean, I think Fnatic had to avoid 4 major problems in this draft. Tassadar Tracer, they dealt with it by picking up Tassadar first. Poix Chromie, and not having cleanse when you go up against that.
Yeah.
That is not an issue because Chromie didn't come out, and then each other's Abathur and Genji as well, as both teams run a very solid one. But here they are, the pieces on the chessboard, juxtaposed against each other. Different draft from Dignitas and a solid draft from Fnatic, perhaps better suited to other battlegrounds, for example Infernal Shrines, but nonetheless very potent, very flexible, giving themselves, and I think this is also very important to mention, a chance to get into the match comfortably. If you open up with a very special draft where Mene is on Uther or I don't know, like Kerrigan, and it's like, oh yeah, this is good, but it's really new. It can be uncomfortable, that first nervous match, but Fnatic is a very solid draft, giving themselves a very grounding place in the game.
We start game 1 of this best-of-5 elimination match between Team Dignitas and Fnatic now. Double support versus double support as these teams look to face off and get their first victory on Battlefield of Eternity.
Here on the left in the blue, it's going to be Team Dignitas with Snitch on Uther. We've got Zelia on Lucio, JPL on Stitches, Poik on Vala, and Arthas, of course, will be Wooby.
And for Fnatic, Smexy playing Karazim, Babini on Sonya, Quacknix will be playing Tassadar, Mene on Li Ming, and Breeze will be playing Muradin.
We see both Sonya and Muradin going with the block build. And we see Uther with the Holy Light build, bit of extra damage there. Holy Shock, that is. Soon to be followed at level 4. Tassadar going with the Templar's Will, the auto attack talent. 60 seconds of auto attacking will give him bonus damage on his auto attack and bonus range. And Dignitas quickly fanning out to kill a tower.
Yeah, perhaps just making sure that he can add to more of the immortal race. And
it's great against Stitches and Arthas as well, as long as you can get that quest stack.
Dignitas setting up with a hard push here in the bottom lane. Sticking together with JPL in the front, the double support behind them, keeping them healed up. But Fnatic has a 2-man in the top lane with the Sonya and Tassadar just trying to do the same thing, trying to get some damage done early to the towers in that, setting up before the first Immortal phase. Yeah,
judging by the XP, they had indeed succeeded, and we can see that this is indeed true. In the 2 versus 1, killing 1 tower as well. Dignitas has been consistently doing this well, having very good early game. Fnatic, not as much, but they are roughly even now. Fnatic using 3 to defend here against the 4, not proving to be too effective. The degree to which Smexy dares to be aggressive is 0 out of 0. 0 out of 10.
There is no way you want to hop in against what Team Dignitas has here in the bottom lane. Snitch has the Hammer of Justice. You've got to boop back after that. And then Stitches can try to body block you after that. You do have 2 stacks of Radiant Dash, and later on he'll get a 3rd with Blinding Speed at 7. But for now, just playing very safely, making sure that he doesn't get caught before this Immortal phase. Fnatic know they have some good damage for the Immortals. They don't want to start this off being behind a man.
It's a little bit humorous to see JPL and Stitches once again, almost as a reminder of all the suffering he inflicted upon Fnatic before with Stitches.
Beautiful Howling Blast from Wubby spells First Blood in favor of Team Dignitas, still trying to keep the slow going. Quacknix has already used Dimensional Shift, and with a quick boop back, Zelia eliminates him. Team Dignitas claim 2 kills and start work on the Immortal.
Fantastic start here for Dignitas in the opening gambit against Fnatic, getting the double kill there on Bad Benny and Quacknix as well. They will be looking at a very healthy Immortal, presumably with roughly 50% shields, as Tassadar has not yet returned to add his clout here. Breeze going for the defense.
Going to hold off as much as they can, at least bring down the shielding, if not try to get back into this Immortal phase. But being so far behind, Fnatic likely just doing what they can to maybe get some kills, tie things up, or at least bring down that shield. Hook lands, but it's on Breeze, who has Dwarf Toss, and he escapes.
Bad Benny with the flank.
Yeah.
No vision yet of him. Now they see him.
Oh, they see him there. Poik vaults back. Keeping eyes on Benny. Oh, so important. They get through the flank, they move back on up.
Man, Snitch is so versatile, man. Now on Uther as well. The ultimate flex hero for Dignitas. Truly one of their MVPs.
Yeah, he has been playing so well. I even think back to at BlizzCon, he was playing a different role. They had Mene playing the secondary support. To switch into the role that he's been playing now, more of the secondary support, but still being able to play as good of a Genji as he plays, the Greymane plays that he has brought in, and be the new captain for this team, Snitch is definitely an all-star.
Look at the Wooby build as well. Isn't it Icy Talents? Bonus auto attack build for Arthas. Wonder if he will follow up with the Rune Tap as well. Doesn't have the auto attack talent at 1, unfortunately, but that's a bit more of a meme build, I suppose. I like it though.
Yeah, in this case, he has already landed a Howling Blast that has been the death of Fnatic, so it makes sense to want to be able to lock down even more people with that, get the increased range from it, cooldown reduction, making sure that he has the peels, the control for his team. Team Dignitas, using the Immortal, have brought the fort to under half health before Fnatic takes it out, all the while keeping Wubby in the bottom lane so that he can soak.
Yeah, and for a 40% shielded Immortal, I would say the average result is half a fort, plus the wall, of course. And getting about 80% of that fort is a really good result for Dignitas here. They escorted it well, threatened just enough, even with the Wooby rotation on Arthas, all the way to the top, saying, I might make this a 5 versus 4, careful.
Yeah, Wubby pulled down so many of Fnatic. I don't know that Fnatic was expecting Team Dignitas to go and get the Khazra camp, but now Dignitas can try to escort this in, and this is going to bring back a lot of Fnatic. They do respond in time. They get here so that they can try to defend this Khazra and not lose the fort to it, but Team Dignitas, with the level 7s ahead, just pulling Fnatic back and forth with the double lane push.
You know, as little as we see Stitches in general in the HGC and in the Gold Club World Championship as well, I really appreciate Dignitas bringing it out again for 2 reasons. First of all, JPL is a monster on Stitches. But consider also that when Fnatic and Dignitas played each other on Dragonshire, which Dignitas was leading in the group stage the whole game until Fnatic finally won, it was a very stalemate, Western shoot-off kind of game. In true European esports fashion, a slow game, few fights, very tactical, macro heavy. And so, when you are squaring off against each other repeatedly with the double warrior, double support, nice dodge on the bolt, having that hook every 16 seconds as a threat to break the stalemate in an advantageous scenario for yourself is a very powerful tool, and arguably way more powerful than in a way more aggressive fight, like you might expect between an SPT and a CE against each other.
Yeah, that's a great point, Grubby, and it will also affect how Fnatic can defend. Even looking back at the early lane push before the first Immortal, Smexy was just sitting behind the fort because he wanted nothing to do with that hook.
Right.
And he's one of the escapable heroes that they have on the team. But they have the follow-up stuns from it. It was a brilliant last pick from Team Dignitas. They had everything set up for it to work out really well for them. They have the follow-up crowd control. Hook does land. Wubby standing, hoping to body block. Has the slows going too, but Benny is living for now.
Nice Kala's light there by Quacknix, offering 15 bonus armor. The movement speed Sonya got from her whirlwind, her trait, and she managed to get away. But it was a cool howling blast into hook.
Now with level 7, Fnatic's team fight has gotten a lot better. They have Calamity, they have Poison Spear, and Breeze was hoping to take advantage of that, going in for a Stormbolt. Xaylia does take some damage, but with the double support, will start to heal back up. Team Dignitas are playing a lot more passively here. They're the ones in the lead to 10. As long as they don't lose anybody here and can zone off as best they can, they could get to 10 faster, especially if they land hooks like that as they take out Muradin.
JPL with the hooks on Muradin. So cool. After Muradin uses his escape, now pressuring the Tassadar. One-dimensional shift. It's all you got. Won't even get to use it. Got pushed by Lucio, and then the stun by Uther as well. Great play there by Dignitas. You know, you were saying Dignitas is playing it slowly. That's what it looked like.
Yep.
It looked like they were playing for level 10 despite the lead, giving away willingly 50% of their Immortal. But then suddenly they turn. In comes Wooby from behind. That Arthas flank, so scary. And then the hook on Muradin. Beautiful.
Yeah, as long as you have the option to play it either way, right? You play it passively with Wubby, making sure that after he clears out a wave, comes in so that the follow-up is there. If the hook lands, which JPL seems to be on fire today, then you get the kill and you don't have to play so slowly as Dig picks up the Immortal, very high shielded Immortal at that, and heroic abilities. Putrid Bile, no Gorge play, not really. I guess you could try to use the Lucio to speed away somebody, but in this case, just getting Putrid Bile, and between Putrid Bile and the way Wubby has been playing this Arthas, I would be scared if I were Fnatic trying to get into the backline or any part of Team Dignitas' composition.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for Sonya to find an angle that actually leads to happiness for her. Now Fnatic level 9.5. Immortal almost entirely untouched. About 20% of its shields have been removed by the towers. Very cleverly by Dignitas, recognizing Fnatic is buying for time and for level 10, they're starting to take down the towers before the Immortal even arrives. And I think this might be a keep.
Yeah, it does look like it because the Immortal is so healthy, because Dignitas have been so fast to push along with this. Fnatic just don't have heroic abilities yet. They can try to take the fight behind as soon as they get them, but it's taken long enough for them to get those heroic abilities that this keep is starting to go down. And with that Immortal being as healthy as it is, and Dignitas making sure to block a lot of the skill shots from Mene, easy keep for Team Dignitas. They look for a hook, seeing if they can get more out of this, not finding it, quick disengage.
Not even half a second worth of thinking. One hook and leave. Perfect play there by Dignitas. The perfect balance between both greed and safety. Dignitas thinks maybe if we get the kill there, we can go on to the core, but if we don't, we just pull back. We bank off of our massive advantage and we color the map blue. Now, Fnatic, they need a comeback fight. They have lost a keep and they don't have a fantastic composition to buy for infinite time. No globals. They want to fight on equal talents, and here we go. Fnatic, Hammer of Justice, interrupt the Dwarf Toss.
There was a hook forcing Dimensional Shift from Wubby as Putrid Bile comes out. Wubby and JPL deep in the lines of Fnatic. Breeze can't get out of here, had to pick the Avatar, and he'll die anyway as Team Dignitas continues to chase down every single person on the side of Fnatic. The hook after they take out Sonya, a boop 2. Team Dignitas is wrecking Fnatic in this first game. 7 kills to 0 and a 2-level lead.
Travel time to the bottom of the map would constitute about 20 seconds before they get to the core, so they would have about 3 seconds with the core minus help. Not good enough to finish the game, but a great moment to expand upon the lead, opening up the map more. Winning another Immortal, it would go to the top for Dignitas, as it always chooses the most fortified lane in terms of structures. So the more Dignitas can do to that top fortification, the more their Immortal have a clear route all the way to the core.
Grubby, I feel like we should coin the term a Gandalf composition for Team Dignitas, because with the Stitches and the Arthas, they're basically just saying you shall not pass. You're not getting past the Stitches with Putrid Bile and the slows from Frozen Tempest. That only gets worse the more Dignitas level up, with Remorseless Winter from Wubby at 16.
This is why it is a bit of a weakness for Fnatic to bank so heavily on the mage play of Mene. He's a fantastic mage player, 7-sided strike here on Arthas. But to pick the mage so early, even giving comfortability, Li Ming has trouble getting those resets. Her damage falls off like harmless rain off of an umbrella. She's doing her skill shots into 2 warriors. How can she reach Lucio and Vala effectively? And then there's the Divine Shield safety net. So Fnatic, they have this brawling composition, but they lack the favorable initiation that Dignitas has, and it's hard for them to go deep against Stitches Arthas, like you said.
Later on, Sonya gets some abilities that she can pop to allow her to dive even deeper in, but it's still a problem of the slows to get past. Whether we see Bad Benny have to make a long flank, he's doing that here as they flank around.
Very long flank.
For the long shot.
He's either doing a long flank, going for the mid gate, or stealing enemy Fallen Bruiser. But no, he's going for the long flank. So, okay, he wants to try and get Poik. Wrapping all around the side, maybe to get everything. Okay, Mene wants to follow up, you see? Spear into Poik with Mene. Following up with skill shots into Vala. That's the play. But Snitch spots them!
Oh, Fnatic has set a trap, but Team Dignitas expertly must have had their, what is it, initiative that lets you see traps, something from that, high enough that they are not going to let Bad Benny and Mene ever get to the squishy Poik. In fact, they're definitely not going to be able to get to Poik with that hook coming out. Benny spinning to win, hoping he can live, but he falls down. Sound Barrier allows the rest of Dignitas to chase down Li Ming in quick order, and a follow-up kill on Breeze's 3 kills for Team Dignitas, and this time they look like they've had enough of this game.
Yeah, travel time now is about 10 seconds thanks to Lucio. The death timers are 20. Dignitas going for the core. I would say 99% sure that they can finish the core right here, getting that damage on it. I mean, the initial shield will be gone by the time everyone is back.
Yeah,
they have some catapults. Still firing on the tower, though.
Yeah, that's a bit frustrating for Team Dignitas, but they've got enough damage just within themselves. Murden will come back. Li Ming is here, normally a pretty good hero to try to defend with because of resets. And Snitch will fall in the end as the first kill for Fnatic in this game, but it doesn't matter. Team Dignitas win Game 1 on Battlefield of Eternity. Using that fight location, collapsing on the traps, always keeping tabs on their opponents, and being able to use that and the fact that the catapults were pushing for so long because all of Fnatic were so committed to the fight to go ahead and win the game off of it.
Yeah, at this point, from that moment onwards in the game, Fnatic was in a place where victory was almost impossible. So they tried that flank, deciding completely to forego the catapult deep push, since they knew if we lose the Immortal against level 16, we're certainly going to lose the game. So their Sonya composition, together with Li Ming, definitely weaker into that matchup on that map and unable to gain enough momentum actually to get fully into the game. And Dignitas wins a very easy first game.
So Fnatic and Drafting were very focused on trying to take away a lot of the tools that have brought Team Dignitas success. The concern now is how much do you sacrifice in taking things away from Dignitas in potentially leaving your composition with holes in it that Dignitas can exploit, and how far down do the strategies of Team Dignitas go? Those have been the questions that I have had that I haven't really been able to figure out despite spending a lot of time studying for this series.
Now for Dignitas, they might be worried about the Greymane of Quacknix. They might be worried about the isolation comp of like Stitches, Emerald Wind, Gorge, Abduction. For what they're not afraid of is the Tassadar Tracer, clearly. If Fnatic is substituted here by KSV, suddenly you have Kyocha's Tracer, then I think Dignitas would have drafted differently.
Right.
But I feel like Fnatic had 3 goals in this draft, and they succeeded with 2 of them. 1, give ourselves a comfortable draft of heroes that we're familiar with. And 2, deny, make them fear a Tassadar Tracer, and in this regard I think they failed. And then 3, draft a generally versatile composition, but on the wrong map, by the way. Yeah,
the most worrisome pick for Team Dignitas on the side of Fnatic, at least in this game, seemed to be Breeze's ETC, which is fair. He's been playing ETC for a long time and is very good at it. JPL, with all the hooks he got, earns MVP for that series. Well deserved, I say. But for the next game, wondering now what Fnatic wants to do. Do they choose a first pick? This is what happened versus, or when Team Dignitas and Ballistics were facing off. And then Team Dignitas were always banning Tassadar from that second pick slot. They didn't hear, though, ETC was more of a concern on Battlefield of Eternity. So I guess we'll see. With the Battleground choice, though, you know, Tracer doesn't